What if I told you that confidence has nothing to do with feeling ready and everything to do with doing it scared? Think about that for a second, because for most of us, we've been told confidence is this magical state you have to earn before you step into the spotlight. Like, when I feel confident, I'll finally go after that job. When I feel confident, I'll finally speak up. When I feel confident, I'll finally show up as myself. But here's the hard truth. Confidence doesn't come first. Action does. And let me tell you something from my own story. In my early 20s, I fell for the trap. I thought if I repeated affirmations every morning, confidence would suddenly appear. I had sticky notes all over my bathroom mirror that said, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am capable, I am confident. And guess what? Nothing changed. It didn't do jack for how I felt for the rest of the day. I'd walk out of the house and the same insecurities would hit me like a wave. That's when I realized confidence isn't about what you say in the mirror. It's about what you do when nobody's watching. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to unleash your quiet, reserved confidence, the kind that doesn't need to shout, but commands attention in every room you walk into. The myth of loud confidence. When most people picture confidence, they picture the loud guy at the party, the one telling stories, cracking jokes, taking up space. Society has glamorized this extroverted version of confidence as if that's the only way it can exist. And if you're more reserved, more thoughtful, maybe even a little shy, it's easy to feel like you're broken. But let me tell you something. Quiet confidence is just as powerful, if not more. Comply why? Because loud confidence seeks validation. It feeds on being seen, on being heard. But quiet confidence is self-sustaining. It doesn't need the approval of the room because it's rooted in inner certainty. It's the difference between a roaring fire and steady, glowing embers. One burns hot and fast, the other lasts the entire night. And here's the kicker. Reserved confidence actually makes people lean in. Think about the calm leader who doesn't have to yell to command a team, or the person who walks into a meeting, doesn't rush to speak, but when they do, everyone listens. That's not weakness, that's power. So the first mindset shift is this. Stop trying to force yourself to fit the mold of loud confidence. Stop thinking you have to become someone you're not, because confidence is not volume, it's certainty. And certainty can be silent. Why affirmations alone don't work. Okay, let's go back to that story I shared about affirmations on the mirror. For years I thought writing, I am confident, would make me confident. And maybe you've done the same. Maybe you've tried the sticky notes, the journaling, the positive self-talk, and then you feel like a failure when nothing changes. Here's the truth. Affirmations without action are empty. They might boost your mood for a moment, but they don't rewire your brain. Confidence isn't built in your thoughts. It's built in your experiences. Here's why. When you step into something that scares you, even if you're shaking, even if you stumble, your brain gets evidence. And evidence is what rewires your beliefs. For example, you tell yourself, I'm confident at public speaking, but you've never spoken in public. Your brain knows you're lying. Now compare that to standing up, speaking for 2 minutes, your heart pounding, but you do it anyway. The brain goes, oh, I didn't die. I can survive this. And that one moment of survival plants a seed of real confidence that grows with every repetition. So, if affirmations work for you, great, keep them, but don't stop there. Pair them with proof. Pair them with action. Say it, but then live it. Doing it scared, the real confidence formula. Here's the raw truth. You will never feel ready. Read that again. Never. Readiness is a myth we tell ourselves to delay action. Confidence is built by walking into the room shaking, saying the thing with a dry mouth, showing up messy and imperfect. That's the formula. Action first, confidence second. Think of it like going to the gym. Nobody walks in with muscles. You walk in weak, awkward, lifting tiny weights. And only through the reps do you get stronger. Confidence works the same way. You don't wait until you're confident to start. You start, and then you become confident. Here's a practical exercise I want you to try. Write down something you've been avoiding because you don't feel ready. Break it into the smallest possible step. Not the whole thing, just step 1. Do it scared, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands sweat. That tiny act is the rep. And reps build strength. Over time, you realize the fear never fully goes away. But your relationship with it changes. You stop seeing fear as a stop sign and start seeing it as a green light, a signal that you're growing. And this is the game changer. Courage always comes before confidence. You don't need to fake it till you make it. You need to face it till you become it.
Building unshakable, quiet confidence. So let's get practical. How do you actually build the kind of quiet confidence that lasts? Not the fake kind that disappears the moment someone criticizes you. Not the shallow kind that collapses in a room full of louder voices. I'm talking about the confidence that sticks. The kind that's rooted so deeply that nothing and no one can shake it. Let's break it down. 1. Keep promises to yourself. Confidence isn't built on hype. It isn't built on positive thinking alone. Confidence is built on self-trust. Every time you say you'll do something and you actually follow through, you're telling your brain, I can rely on myself. Think about that for a second. Most of us are great at keeping promises to other people. If your boss asks for a deadline, you hit it. If your friend needs help moving, you show up. But when it comes to yourself, you say, I'm going to wake up early tomorrow, and then you hit snooze. You say, I'll go to the gym, and then you don't. You say, I'm going to start that project, and then you put it off. And what happens over time? You train your brain not to trust you. You become someone who doesn't believe their own word. But here's the flip side. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you build self-trust. And self-trust is confidence. Start small. Don't promise yourself you'll run a marathon if you've never jogged a mile. Promise to take a 10-minute walk. Do it. Repeat. Stack those wins. Because if you can't trust yourself with the small things, how will you ever trust yourself with the big ones? 2. Detach from performance, attach to growth. Most people tie their confidence to performance. If I nail the presentation, then I'll feel confident. If I impress them, then I'll feel confident. But that's a trap. Because what happens the first time you fail? What happens the first time you stumble, or someone laughs, or it doesn't go the way you pictured? If your confidence is tied to performance, it crumbles. True confidence is different. True confidence says, I'll be okay no matter the outcome. It's not about the result, it's about the act of showing up. Detach your identity from the performance. Attach it to growth. Because even if you fall flat on your face, you're still moving forward. And every failure is proof that you had the courage to try. That mindset shift is everything. 3. Use stillness as power. Here's something reserved people don't always realize. Silence is powerful. We think we have to fill every gap in the conversation. We think pauses mean weakness. We think quiet means, I don't belong. But silence commands respect. The person who can sit in stillness without rushing to fill the air, that's the person people lean into. That's the person who feels grounded. Think about the leaders you admire. Are they the ones frantically talking over everyone? Or are they the ones who choose their words carefully, who pause before they speak, who don't need to fight for attention because their presence is enough? Confidence isn't about how much you say. It's about the weight behind what you say. And sometimes, your quiet carries more power than the loudest voice in the room. 4. Find your arena. Here's a big one. Confidence is not universal. Nobody feels confident everywhere, and you don't need to. You don't need to feel like the life of the party if that's not your arena. You don't need to be confident on a stage if your calling is in building one-on-one relationships. Confidence is built where it matters most to you. Ask yourself, where do I want to show up with confidence? At work? In my relationships? In my creativity? Focus there. Build your reps there. Because once you find your arena, confidence starts to compound. And listen, these are not hacks. They're not quick fixes. They're practices. And the more you practice, the more natural your quiet confidence becomes. The transformation. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually embrace this quiet power. First, your relationships change. People begin to respect you differently. Not because you're louder, not because you suddenly turned into an extrovert, but because you radiate certainty. You're no longer the person desperately seeking validation. You become the person others seek validation from. Think about that for a second. When you stop chasing approval, approval starts chasing you. Second, your opportunities multiply. Here's the truth. Leaders, employers, partners, they're drawn to quiet confidence because it signals stability. It says, I can handle pressure without crumbling. It says, I can think clearly even when things get messy. That's magnetic. People want that kind of energy around them. And suddenly, doors that were once closed start opening. And finally,
you change. You stop second-guessing every move. You stop running every decision through 1,000 what-ifs. You stop living on the sidelines, waiting for confidence to arrive. Because you realize you don't need to wait. You're allowed to take up space right now, exactly as you are. Reserved, thoughtful, quiet, that's not just enough. That's powerful. This is the quiet revolution. Not shouting, not proving, not pretending. Just showing up, consistently, courageously, and letting your actions speak louder than any words on a mirror.